Today, I'm really excited to talk to you about a really cool place where I went that actually allowed me to check something off my bucket list. It was seeing the Terracotta Warriors. What are the Terracotta Warriors, in case you don't know? Actually, they're located in Lintong County in Shaanxi Province in Xi'an, China. It's actually outside, just outside of the actual city of Xi'an. It takes about an hour, 15, hour and a half minutes to drive out of Xi'an to actually go see these famous clay terracotta warriors. They are considered the eighth wonder of the world and actually one of the top archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. It was on my bucket list the first time I ever saw a picture of it. My parents had gone, I think early in the 80s when I was a teenager, and they showed me pictures when they got home, and I was like, I need to see that. That's amazing. So I finally just recently got to see it. Check off the bucket list. So the way that they came to be was in 1974, a farmer was actually digging a well for water and stumbled across this amazing discovery, which was 7,000 to 8,000 of these terracotta soldiers buried under the ground. So who are those? Well, back in 246 BC, at the age of 13, the very first emperor of China decided that he wanted to have these clay soldiers created to guard his tomb when he died. Well, that's thinking ahead. I mean, the kid was only 13 years old. The reason that he built these clay soldiers was because back then they believed that whatever you were buried with would be reanimated in the next life. So he wanted to wake up in the next life with a bunch of soldiers and guards. There were actually also acrobats, chariots, warriors, strongmen, musicians. I mean, he kind of was thinking of everything, which is, again, really impressive for a 13-year-old kid. The name of the first emperor of China was actually Qin Shi Huang, and I don't speak Mandarin very well, but he's also known as Ying Zheng. So you might see that or hear that name referred to later. So these terracotta soldiers are over 2,000 years old. What is that? 2,200 years old, in fact. It took them 40 years to make these soldiers, and supposedly it took 70,000 workmen to actually create them. What's really cool is that there are no two alike. And when you go there and see them, it's amazing because they're standing in different positions. They're wearing different clothes. Their hair's different. Their body posture's in a different position. It's truly amazing. And it shows the craftsmanship that existed back then and the detail that was included in such an amazing project. Not only were there statues, and by the way, these are life-size statues. Most of them are around 6 feet tall, which is actually pretty tall for Chinamen, especially way back then. And then the taller statues reach about 6'5", and they represented the men of higher stature. So the generals, for example, in the of the army would have been the tall warriors. But so they're all made out of clay. The bottom base was designed to be heavier, and the top part was more hollow so that they could have some stability as they stood on their base. But also they had weapons, and the weapons were not made out of clay. Most of them were made out of bronze, but a few of them were actually made out of iron as well. There are all kinds of crossbows and spears and swords and all kinds of stuff, and you get to see those as well. Not to mention there's also chariots and tons of horses. There are, like I said, between 70 and 80,000 different figures. And let me mention, that's not even all of the ones that you get to see. The way that the exhibit is divided is into 3 different pits in 3 different buildings. And then there's another building of mounds that have not been excavated yet. So the exhibition is actually on the site where they excavated these statues. And they are in 3 different areas that are indoors, which is nice, not air conditioned, which is not so nice. But the first pit, for example, is the most famous one. You've probably seen pictures of it where there are just hundreds and hundreds of these statues standing in these various pits in also varying degrees of formation. Some of them are without arms or heads because they're actually still putting all of these things together. But the very first pit, Pit 1, is really, really cool. It's awesome. It's huge. It's just got the wow factor. And then pit number 2 actually is a little bit middle-sized or medium-sized in terms of quantity. It's kind of designed as the cavalry. It's designed as the cavalry in the army that was going to be guarding the tomb of the first emperor of China. And then pit number 3 is the smallest, and it's kind of the command center. And then another part of the exhibition is actually the bronze chariots that can be seen. And a lot of times people skip those because you see some of them in another area. But anyway, so those are the 3 different areas. And like I said, they're indoors, which is great, but it's extremely crowded. And unfortunately, I went during the month of July and it was extremely hot. Everybody was just sweating buckets. And I would have loved to have made the video right then and there, but it was noisy and crowded and my hair was drenched in sweat. So that's why I'm recording this after the fact. But let me tell you about how to get there and then what to do when you get there. First of all, the exhibit is open. I'm looking at my notes here. The exhibit is open generally from 8:30 in the morning until 5. To avoid crowds, get there early because it just gets more and more crowded as the day progresses. And in the summertime, the hours go, I think, till 5 o'clock. And then wintertime, I think it only goes until 2:30 or 3. Check on the website just to make sure that you've got the right time. It'll take you between 2 and 3 hours to see everything. Of course, depending on how much time you want to stay. There are restrooms, there are gift shops. There's even a little restaurant where you can get some snacks. But a word about the restrooms too. They are the Chinese squatty potties, so just be prepared. And one of the fun perks of going to China is getting to experience the squatty potties. I think I'll do a whole video about squatty potties in China. But basically, you need to bring your own tissue and handy wipes because they don't often provide those. But the facility, not just the facility, but all of the facilities are designed to allow handy, capable people in with their wheelchairs. And so you should be able to be fine. When you arrive, actually, you will either need to walk about 10 to 15 minutes from the gate into where they have the pits, or they have these little golf carts. And on the recording of the tour in English, it says they're free, but they're really not. I was actually with a group. I was on a little speaking tour in China. So I got to go for free and they took care of everything. And that's one way to travel. But I don't know how much we paid for the little golf carts. Maybe the equivalent of $2 to $5. I don't even know. They just said, get on the golf cart. So I did. But it saves you about 5-10 minutes is all. I mean, it's a quick little race up to where all the pit buildings are. And to get in, it costs about 150 yuan during the high season, which is summer season, and a little less, I think 120 yuan during the fall, winter season, where tourism is less crowded. And that is basically $20 to $22. Give or take. There's no coupons that I found or anything like that. But you can buy tickets online and you can also buy them when you get there. And there was no shortage of tickets. They let us in. There were tons of people and everybody got in. Oh, another thing that some tourists skip because of the heat, if you can't bear it anymore and you've seen the pits, which is the big part of the whole exhibit. Your ticket also includes an entrance to the mausoleum of the first emperor of China. It's basically just a mound, so it's not that exciting, so you can kind of skip that if you're in a time crunch, or like I said, it's too hot or too cold, whatever. It all actually snows in Xi'an sometimes during the wintertime. So in terms of getting to see the Terracotta Warriors, you can take a taxi from Xi'an all the way to this Terracotta Warrior site, but it's going to be pretty pricey because, like I mentioned before, it takes about an hour and a half, depending on traffic, to get there. So another way you could do it is take a taxi to the bus stop. And when you get to the train station where the bus station is, look for bus number 5, and that will take you into the Terracotta Warrior area. You can also buy a ticket for a tour. You'll pay a lot more money. The pros and cons are, if you want to save money, just take the bus and you'll get there. If you want to not have to worry about anything like taking a taxi to the train station, finding the bus, then you can just sign up for a tour in your hotel or even ahead of time, and they can take care of that for you. And then you just don't even have to worry about anything. Definitely bring water. All of the natives, the Chinese people, they all carry umbrellas, whether it's raining or not, because you're in a lot of sun-drenched areas, and they like to have nice pearly white skin, and so they're using the umbrella to protect their skin, which is why they have gorgeous skin. Now, after you're done, you're probably going to want to go to lunch or go to a little restaurant. All of the restaurants that are located really close are not very good. And so we drove about 10, 15 minutes into the nearest town and had lunch at a very nice restaurant nearby. And I can't remember what it was called. If I remember, I'll write it in the comments below. Another tip is, if you don't have time to go all the way to see the actual terracotta site, the good news is that they have the Terracotta Warriors at the Shaanxi Museum, which is just right there in town in Xi'an. And so that's pretty cool. They actually had some of the Terracotta Warriors, the full size. They even had some of the chariots. There's one that has like a big giant turtle shell, or it's carved to look like a turtle shell. Because back then, a turtle and the turtle shell represented long life. So they were sending a message to the emperor saying, we hope you have long life and that you don't need all of these statues for when you die. Let's see. Oh, so let me tell you also about my little souvenirs. So the very second time I think I went to China, I still hadn't seen the Terracotta Warriors, but I saw this in a store in the airport on my way home. And I was like, oh, I have to buy this. It's so cute. Someday I'm going to go. And I paid $14 for it. In America, $14 for a little statue for your home is not unheard of. And so I thought, okay, and I wanted to bring a gift for my husband. And I liked this one because he's kneeling and he looked humble, not scary. And I just thought he was kind of cool. He kind of looks like he has clay on him. So then I've spent quite a bit of time in Shaanxi. I was helping at a summer camp for children learning English. And that's a whole other experience I can tell you about another time. But anyway, the school was right on a street where they had lots of art shops and some tourist shops because it was a really famous school, actually. It was centuries old, which was really cool. But anyway, so I bought this one for $4, and he's a little bit taller. Unfortunately, his little base broke off, but I can easily super glue that and nobody will be able to tell. But a big difference in price. And of course, you should know never to buy gifts in airports because they're always more expensive. But I was surprised how much more expensive, $10. And I was surprised that it broke also. I mean, of course, it is actually made out of terracotta, but I hand carried it on the airplane in my carry-on, and I thought it would be safe, and it still snapped off. But it looks, to be honest, it looks like it actually was built that way. Not as one piece, but probably this piece and then that piece and then glued together. But anyway, that's just a little side note. Oh, and now finally, when you finish looking at all of the Terracotta Warriors and the various pits, if you're with a tour guide, they're going to want to spit you out into where all of the tourist shops are. They're going to say, oh, I just need to check on something. Why don't you go in the air conditioning and look in this? And they've got some kind of a gig going on with that vendor where they get a commission if you buy anything. So if you don't want to spend any money, just say, no, we'd rather, keep walking or whatever. One of the fun things that they had was this little outdoor vendor booth, and they were selling wine. And it doesn't look like wine because it looked more like gray water, maybe. And so that you buy a little cup. It's actually served in a saucer, and you drink it, and then you immediately throw that saucer into this giant pile of broken saucers. For whatever reason, they think that's really fun. I'll show you a little video clip of that. But anyway, another thing that you might run across is the supposed farmer who found this hold site back in 1974. Now, it might actually be the farmer, but they also hire other old guys to sit there and sign the book that supposedly he wrote. So I'm just saying that there's your heads up. I'm dashing all of your illusions of getting to take a picture with the real guy. But anyway, I hope you have a great time in Xi'an. And if seeing the Terracotta Warriors is on your bucket list, make it happen. It's an incredible experience. And like I said, it was hot and crowded, but totally worth it. It was really, really awesome. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment on other kinds of videos that you would like, and subscribe, ring the bell so that you get warned about other upcoming videos. And this is my big moment to tell you, subscribe. Thanks. Ni hao. 再见.
That's good. It's a good start.
Terracotta Warriors in, dang it, where was it? Okay. That's so embarrassing. Okay.
Yep. Okay, good.
Faded yet.
Wait, what's going on?
Dad's alarm is going off so that we remember to do our squats.
So I want to make sure that it's still recording. So can you